I'm not going to sit by on my couch and get fat while my country disappears.
It's sort of the old socialist concept. What's mine is what's yours is negotiable, right? And so they're taking over, and you're a racist pig if you resist. And even if you don't resist, you're still a white gringo pig.
Let's kick that gringo in the ass! Come on! Let's go!
To me, it's the people that are racists are the ones saying that Mexicans are allowed to do whatever they want, and that Mexicans are above the law, and that Mexican sovereignty overrules American sovereignty on American soil. And to me, that is incredibly racist.
La Raza, the race.
Yeah.
We have a big La Raza movement in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And La Casa por la Casa, what are they called? Chicanos.
Yeah.
And the list goes on. There's so many Hispanic organizations, and if you had one white organization, they would be screaming racism. How dare you be a white Anglo-Saxon?
The glaring double standard that we see here is apparent to anybody who even takes a casual look, and yet we still don't see any awareness of this in the media. You don't see any discussion of that. Very interesting to look at what Jewish organizations have done recently. They have allied with Mexican American groups, other Hispanic groups. They've allied with Asian groups. They've allied with black groups. In other words, they see themselves as part of a coalition of ethnic groups. And they, very self-consciously so. And those groups are going to become increasingly strong as time goes on because they're representing a greater and greater percentage of the population. But they see themselves, I think, as they have from the time they got here, as opposing the interests of European Americans. I don't think there's any question about that.
We're getting up off our butts and we're going to do something. These people have organized to fight for rights that don't exist. Okay, they don't have the right to be here. They basically have the right to be humanely deported if they're illegally here. The bottom line is that they hate our border. They hate the fact that we are a nation. They do, and so do a lot of our elected officials now, and our elected officials are representing globalists, which include massive corporations, which include interests that are not American.
Because I always say I've got two big problems in the Congress of the United States trying to deal with this. One, the Democratic Party sees massive immigration, both legal and illegal, as a source of voters, potential voters, filling up their voter pool. They know that's a good thing. They're not going to try to stop any of this. On the other side, the Republican Party that sees massive immigration, both legal and illegal, as a source of cheap labor. So, these are two things that go together that make it very difficult, and they trump national security. Isn't that amazing to anybody else but me? I mean, I just can't get over it, the fact that we cannot secure those borders because of those two problems.
So, you have a coalition of groups who are open borders advocates, including the left wing, including some right wing, big business, okay? A National Restaurants Association, now also the AFL-CIO. The American people are caught in the middle. You've got big people on the right and big people on the left getting ready to nail their butts to the cross, I'll tell you.
People talk about, the people who oppose immigration, they talk about, well, there are economic problems and this and that. No one simply says, Europeans are not going to benefit from this as a group, that we are giving up control of our country to other peoples. That there's a huge problem with this. That when you are a minority group, you better hope that the other groups in society are nice to you. Well, we Europeans should be concerned that our future will be as a minority group. And we will then be at the whim of coalitions that may have very hostile intent towards us. That we will lose control of our own future. That's the issue here. It's as simple as that. But even raising European ethnic interests is the big taboo of this period right now. We can't even raise the possibility that Europeans have ethnic interests. It's the taboo topic. And yet everybody else has ethnic interests, which are legitimate.
The idea that diversity is a strength in mixing people is not a strength. The strength comes from the homogeneity and having people who are basically alike. I mean, diverse people break up because they don't want to be around the other people. They may be able, the best you can do in diversity would be something like Switzerland, where and there you have it decentralized, so they each have their little cantons and their little things, so they don't get on each other's nerves too much. You better believe the more diverse they were, the more different they are, the more hostile they're going to be, the more they're going to fight and hate each other. That's just natural. You don't see diverse species getting together and mingling in nature. You see them avoiding each other or fighting for territory. And the white man knows all this. He doesn't know it at the level of facts and specific understandings, but the idea of the zeitgeist, he senses the spirit of the times. No rational person would open the border with Mexico for 100 reasons.
I was born in Los Angeles. I grew up in Hollywood. This is, from an environmental standpoint, one of the most beautiful areas, cool, with the ocean breezes, right, and temperate climate, access to the ocean, to the mountains, to wonderful cultural features. And who's occupying this territory? Mexicans. They've taken it all over. And where are the people who used to live there? They're living out in the desert. They're living out like this. They're living out in Las Vegas. And they've never dawned to them that they just got kicked out of their own country by illegal aliens who are taking over some of the prime real estate in the country. Now, if that doesn't get to them, and if they don't stop and say, why is this happening to me, to us, I don't know what will.
I think that ethnic conflict, we can already see that on the horizon. And I think we're already getting to the point in this country, white people are now 70%. As you get towards 50%, you're going to see increasing amounts of that. Where other ethnic groups are simply going to start flexing their muscles, and they're going to demand, as we see now, a greater presence of, say, Spanish in the public place. We're going to see more Spanish spoken in public arenas. We're going to see the decline of Western culture. We're going to see increases in affirmative action directed at underachieving minorities. And actually, affirmative action is a good example. University admissions. I mean, going to university, especially prestigious universities, is one of the tickets for mobility in the society. Well, you have different ethnic groups achieve at different levels. Asians achieve at levels higher than Europeans. So Europeans are going to get caught in the middle, and they're going to get caught between a very high-achieving Asian group, Jewish groups at the high end, and then between masses of Mexicans and blacks at the bottom, who are going to want equal representation. So whites are going to get squeezed out. And I think young white people are going to feel the brunt of this. The fact is, one of the problems I think right now is that most middle-class white people don't feel these pressures. Their children are going to feel them, and I think it's the children who are going to change and start to exert their interest. Because if they don't exert their interest, they're going to be the first group in history that hasn't exerted their interest, and it's as simple as that.
The problem is for the next generation. That's when the hurt's going to come about. You can't have a country. I think the Roman Empire proved it. The Roman Empire was very aggressive, was very strong. They ruled half of the world, I guess. And so what happened after they ruled half of the world? They got soft in body and mind. They had all these slaves come and do all their work and did everything for them. So what happens? Eventually the slaves took over. The Roman Empire just was thrown away. You got to stay organized. One language, one group of people.
I told you about Jose Angel Gutierrez. There he is right there. And he is the guy who said, we have got to eliminate the gringo. And what I mean by that is if worse comes to worse, we have to kill him. And he admits that he says that, And here was what are we talking about here? Art Torres's Prop 187 was the last gasp of white America in California. And these other people say if you don't like the Hispanization, go back to Europe. So I don't know what it's going to take for the American people to wake up. I have an idea, much like 9/11, it's going to take a lot of blood in the streets.